Disclaimer, while I was filming this video, I was a little under the weather. I am not sleepy, just a little sick. Couldn't skip a video. I hope you will enjoy.
Stop! I think that you should stop doing this. But your question might be, well, what should I stop doing? Well, I will let you in on a secret. Stop repeating these 5 phrases, otherwise you're just staying in one pool of English, but you want to explore and sound more fluent and closer to the native speakers. So let's have a look at the phrases and of course the alternatives that you should be using. First one, we have a lot, which basically talks about a large amount of something. But there's so many other alternatives that you should be exploiting on the daily basis. Let's have a look at them. First one, loads. We can also use tons, a bunch, a great deal of, and last one, plenty. For example, instead of saying I have a lot of apples, you can say I have a bunch of apples at my home. I have plenty of apples, I don't need them. So you see the difference? We're adding extra vocabulary, and extra vocabulary is always very good. Next one, this one you probably use a lot, and I will say that I probably used it a lot as well, but let's try to move away from this one. And this one is I don't know. Very common one to use. We even have an abbreviation for it, right? IDK when we're texting. But let's have a look at other ways we can say the same phrase. You can just say, I don't know. We can say no idea. Like, do you remember that song? Sorry, it was a TikTok trend. Another way what we can do is we can say I'm not sure. So someone is asking you something, instead of saying I don't know, you just say I'm not sure, sorry. And last alternative is who knows? A rhetorical question. Who knows? So for example, I'm asking you, do you know where Sandra is? And instead of saying I don't know, you say who knows? Basically means I don't know. Our third phrase is drum rolls. What? Oof, like you know when you want to re-ask someone if you didn't understand something, or just saying what, like what do you mean, and so on. A very common phrase that I used in UK, instead of saying what, because that kind of considers rude, you just say pardon. Pardon? Like if you didn't hear something or didn't catch something, you say pardon. You can also say sorry. This is more in a context when you want to ask someone to repeat the information. You just like, what were you saying? Okay. Another one, I'm sorry. It basically means like, oh, I didn't kind of get it. Can you repeat it again? Another one.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
I didn't understand. Can you repeat, please? This is just like a pretty straightforward one of like the elaboration of I'm sorry.
Gotta say sorry, 'cause
And last one is come again. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of using this one because I feel like that's a little harsh. I've been raised more in the British English, so I'm more leaning towards using pardon, but this comes down to you, whatever you want to use. But you know the alternatives now, so stop saying what. Our next phrase is I'm fine. You know when someone says, hey, how are you? And you say, I'm fine, thank you, and you? Like a very basic, banal phrase, but let's spice it up. We can say, couldn't be better. Also, we can say, I'm okay. Very simple. Instead of saying fine, okay, we can even put an exclamation mark. Then you can also say, never better. But I feel like that's just a little more than I'm fine, but I'm fine is very like stretched. So I feel like never better could be a very nice one to use when you feel very excited and very happy in the moment. Also, you can say, I'm on cloud 9. You know what the idiom cloud 9 means? Basically that you're very excited, very, very happy, ecstatic. Instead of very happy, right, we can say ecstatic, like what I just told you in the previous video. If you want to check it out, or just put a link, whatever, where the card is. And last one, just simple, I'm great. So very nice options. There's so many more that you can browse and find for yourself. It's just some of my favorite ones. just a little interruption. I want to tell you about word of the day. I can sing better. So which one is it? Wheedle. It basically means to flatter someone in order to persuade someone to do something or give one something. It's like, you know, the idiom to butter someone up. So for example, she wheedled her way onto the guest list. Crazy. How did she do it? Maybe she was very nice with the security guards, so maybe she just became friends with someone else and they took her in with her. Well, let's get back to the actual video. And our last fifth phrase is I don't like it. Oof, I'm a very picky eater, so I use this phrase a lot, but there are other alternatives which we can be using together on a daily basis. Let's have a look at them. It's not my favorite. It's quite a good one, I think. It's not my thing, but that sounds more of like if you're talking about like an activity or like clothing. For example, you're going shopping and your friend picks this and like says, look, this looks so nice, and you're like, oh, it's not really my thing. Like, it's not part of you. It's not like part of your identity in some sort of way. Then you can also say I'm not into something, right? Like, for example, I'm not really into this color, if we're still talking about the clothes. You can also say I'm not a fan of. That's really, for example, I personally use this when I'm talking about food, or when I'm talking about some sort of an activity. Like, I'm not really fan of mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms. I hate honestly mushrooms. I detest them. Instead of saying hate, a little advanced word for you. You can also say that something is not my cup of tea. This is a kind of like more British way of saying something, that you don't like something. So you'd be like, oh, mushrooms are not really my cup of tea. Or you can say, running is not really my cup of tea. Or anything is not your cup of tea, that you don't like it. Well, I hope these phrases and alternatives were very useful, and I want you guys to check out my free private Telegram channel where I share a lot of tips, I do some quizzes with you, interactions, and of course where I do my weekly newsletters with a lot of helpful information, idioms, words, and so on. If you're interested, link for it will be down below in the description. And also you'll be able to find there my guide where I talk about all different verb tenses, because I know you guys struggle with them and I really want to help you out. The guide contains examples, explanations, and a lot more. And I think it's a really, really fun guide, which I actually spent quite a lot of time on. Crazy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on the bell notifications, and I will see you in the next video. If you have any suggestions of any videos that you want to see, let me know down in the comments. Love you guys. Bye.